Who knows?
This is the big bombastic 159th episode of SETI BIMCO Part 2, The Revenge.
Woo.
Now, telling you whether this movie needs a revenge story or not. Oh, and this week, you picked it.
I did. I picked, in response to last week's episode where we did, was it 1971's,
Bigfoot, yeah.
1970s?
I think 70.
Bigfoot. This was maybe a remake. Definitely wasn't a remake in any sense of the word. 2012's Bigfoot.
Yep. Just Bigfoot also, but 2012. 8 years. As we know, when we do things in the 20s, I relate them in time to the release date of The Passion of the Christ. This is 8 years after The Passion of the Christ.
I don't like us bringing up The Passion of the Christ.
I don't either. But
I want you to find a better benchmark. Why not do it from the release, since you're not good at math, why don't you do it for the release of The Phantom Menace? That's 2000, right?
Oof, no, I'll pick a better one.
Yeah, let's not talk about that Jeebus movie.
We also start with an age-old question about revenge, because that's the theme of the show.
Yep.
Usually George's favorite part. So anyway, did the viewing public, George, did they ever get revenge on NBC back in the 70s?
Oh.
Did the viewing public get revenge of them? Because they created a show about two semi-aquatic mammals that were roommates. One was neat, one was messy, and the show was called The Otter Couple.
That sucks.
And that was terrible.
That's, yeah.
It made Miss Lee laugh.
Miss Lee laughs because she feels unsafe.
Producer Miss Lee says, go for it.
It's SETI Bimco Part 2, The Revenge.
SETI Bimco, where no reference will be made to anything post-Star Wars.
And I'm Tim Hamilton.
No. Not by Tim Hamilton, my co-host. And I'm George O'Connor, the other co-host. We're both New York Times bestselling cartoonists. Tim, also a cartoonist for The New Yorker.
Yes. And this is a show about, it used to be about making up revenge stories, but we're just condensing it a bit. If you write in...
We're in like our third or fourth incarnation of the show, because it started out as like a show exploring the trauma of high school years.
Yeah.
You had a previous co-host, the recently incarcerated John Kelly. Oh, you didn't hear about his big olive oil host?
Wow.
Yeah, it's troubling. That boy has a troubling past.
That show won awards.
We're all rooting for you, John.
Oh,
I mean, we've gone through different. You've chewed up co-hosts. We've chewed up concepts.
Yes.
So right now we're in like this, whatever this is. We'll see how long this lasts.
We
last
just
week
decide. It was great last week. Last week was
you were like,
amazing.
I wanted to write a story. I want it to be really long and be only tangentially connected to the movie and have a lot of long walks for short drinks of water.
I do want that, but
yeah,
I'm going to give it up. But this new show, it's a show where we will never talk about John Tyler, the 10th president of the United States.
That's 2 weeks in a row, I think we've done that.
He was in the Whig Party. That's all I'll say.
That was the first presidential election you voted in, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You were around for the other ones. You just didn't care to. You thought you were more of a royalist.
I was there for who's one
You're like King George or death.
Caught a cold and just died after he got elected. Which one was that?
He was one of the two Harrisons, right?
Don't know much about history.
Yep.
Sure, I write a book like that.
You lived through it. You should remember it.
Remember those books? Did you read those?
The books.
Don't know much about history? They're famous,
Oh, I do remember
George.
those books, yeah. This is good banter.
It is good banter. History. I love history.
We're definitely a good podcast.
We got to correct something for last week. I just thought of it.
What? Oh, let's hear it.
You corrected it after we stopped recording. That I talked about Carter's Crew, a comic strip from the 70s.
Oh.
And the name was actually Motley's Crew.
Motley's Crew. And this is, by the way, folks, I don't think this is just a one-time only episode thing. Like, Tim has mentioned Carter's Crew, I would bet, on no less than 12 SETI Bimco episodes.
Nobody knew what it was.
Nobody knew what it was. But that's not unusual for your references, because you've outlived everyone who would know most of these things.
Oh, people know my references.
Yeah, that's right. That's why nobody ever wrote in about the Carter's Crew. They're just like, yep, guess it's something. It was probably a contemporary of the Yellow Kid and R.F. Alcolt's newspapers. See what I'm doing there?
In tonight's movie, there's a man who played Bubbles in The Wire. Current reference. A few years ago.
Oh, my God.
You didn't put that together?
No, I was like, wow, what is he doing in this?
Yes.
There's a few people who I'm like, what were they doing in this? And
this movie, I'm gonna have fun talking about it, but this movie is terrible. This movie's terrible.
This
George.
was, I think earlier in the week, Tim wrote to me saying, this is maybe the worst film we've ever done.
I think so. Come on.
I'm kind of inclined to agree with you. And the sad thing is, I know I've told you this before, Tim. I've seen this before.
Oh, you saw this before?
Yeah. So let me set the scene, right?
Oh.
So I am. You know,
are we talking about the movie now?
No, I'm going to set the scene of how I came to watch this first. So I live with my now wife, but previously my girlfriend. And she normally has a pretty good iron lock on the television. She's like, we're watching this. So a lot of times I just, go draw in the corner or sit in the corner and gently weep, whatever it is. My tastes in television tend towards bad horror films. She doesn't like those. So I don't watch those. I watch them by myself in my studio or something.
My significant other
she was
also
out of
does not
town
like
for
those.
something. And I was like, all right, let's just watch all the Bigfoot movies I can, because I will watch Bigfoot movies for fun. And I put this on, and I do want to say I was probably in an altered state.
That's good.
I was almost certainly doing other things while I, quote unquote, watched this.
That's good.
But this definitely played in the background as I existed, because I would look up every once in a while and be like, what the fuck is this crap? Like every time the really big, horrible looking Sasquatch or Bigfoot came on, I would like look and be like, what is this?
Did you have another TV in the other corner? You're just watching a better movie while watching this movie. That's what I'd like to think you were doing.
If there was anything playing in that short of like, I don't know, a Donald Trump news conference or the Home Shopping Network, it would have been better to watch than this. Like it's this movie. So let's talk about the movie, I guess, really quick. Do you want to say anything else or?
Do I want to say anything else? I guess not. I guess we'll get right into it.
Okay.
Because that way we'll get right into it. We're here to do this, man. Not bringing me down.
Get the National Guard!
Nature attacked us in self-defense.
Whoa! What's the job?
We're gonna kill Bigfoot.
Picking up something on the infrared.
Hope that's gonna be big enough.
Only reason you want to kill Bigfoot is just to piss me off.
So the reason we watched this, I mentioned it briefly up front, but last week Tim had chosen the, I can't believe I'm saying this, far superior 1970 film, Bigfoot.
And motorcycles.
It was garbage. It was a real Tim movie, if you know what that means. But in the Wikipedia for it, it said it's a remake. No, in 2012, this movie that we watched tonight was a remake of sorts. No, it's not.
No.
Of sorts extends to the fact they're both movies that were not creative enough to name their movie anything beyond just Bigfoot.
Oh, one thing in common. I just realized one thing in common.
Ooh, what?
The old movie referenced King Kong a lot, and in this movie,
you're right.
Bigfoot is almost as big as King Kong.
Well, did you see it was released in China as King Kong 3?
I thought to myself, they just couldn't get the rights for King Kong.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. So this is an Asylum film. If you know Asylum, they do the quote-unquote mockbusters. They often will release like a movie that I don't remember there being a Bigfoot movie, so maybe they do other stuff too. But if there's like a big dinosaur, like a Jurassic Park movie, they'll do like Cretaceous Cove and release it at the same time, hoping to fool an undiscerning public into watching their films.
In China, I think.
In China, also, I think
That's a big market.
I mean, Tim, have you been? A lot of people in this country just put on the TV and stare blankly at it, and be like, "Tell us what to do, oh master." And they need to fill the space of their sad little lives with anything that they can. So if they have to watch quote unquote King Kong 3 in order to not think about the crushing reality of their failed hopes and dreams, they will.
But there's so much other things to watch.
I'm like paint dry. Is that your first list?
No. Behind the scenes, we were at a party this weekend, George and I, for other people. Big party. Mm-hmm. Big party. Don't remember much of it. But I turned to Chris, who doesn't listen to the show, and you weren't.
Our friend Chris, who never listens to the show, yeah.
You weren't privy to the conversation. Character. We were like, what do you like to watch on YouTube? And I said, those Path films. Is that how you pronounce it? The British Path films. Do you know what these are?
No.
P-A-T-H with the E with the little cursor at the top. You don't know Path films?
A cursor? Do you mean an accent?
An accent.
It's probably Pathé.
Pathé. I think so.
Yeah.
But Chris is like, oh, yeah, I like those. You never saw those? They're like from the 60s. It's like it shows you in a factory. Here's how they're making dolls. It's a British man. That's the wrong accent. Jolly good factory. Here we have making our cigarettes. And they go through the whole process how they made cigarettes in the 60s. Or a doll.
Yeah. So they are a French film company.
But always filming in Britain.
Well, I think that they probably it looks like they dub them into English.
That's true.
They're apparently huge in Europe.
Nobody in the film ever talks. It's always it's always a narrator.
That's kind of a smart business model. Like, I wish nobody in this film talked.
And they're never sarcastic. They're never sarcastic, except for once. The one from the 60s, they showed how to make a guitar. And the man's like, These guitars go for a pretty penny, which must explain why the kids these days don't have money to get a haircut.
Oh, that guy was chafing.
Yes.
He was like, I hate the British invasion and all it stands for.
Yep.
How did we start talking about this?
As a peek behind the scenes.
It's a better thing to watch behind.
Yes, better thing to watch,
Yeah.
YouTube.
Okay.
Check them out, George.
And folks, you can also watch something that wasn't made in the 60s. Turns out culture has progressed since the time. Tim's will make no reference later than Star Wars. And even we've discovered this in previous episodes. You really don't know much about Star Wars.
No, I don't.
You know the vent port blew up the Death Star. You know that Walrus Man got his arm cut off by Obi-Wan Kenobi. And that's about the only two references you make. Sometimes you talk about Luke fucking his sister. That's not in Star Wars, though. That's about it.
And George will attest this is true. When Andor came on, I think I texted you guys. I said, Andor, they're doing a story about the planet where the Ewoks live? Come on.
I think everybody did that.
Did they? Come on.
I mean, that's weird to do that, right? Like,
but it's Andor, not Endor.
You have an entire imaginary world, right? Like, universe you've created. And there's probably like 6 planets that everybody knows, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
If counting the Death Star, there's Tatooine, the Death Star, Endor.
The Dagobah system?
It.
Dagobah system. I don't know the
Dagobah
planet.
system, right? Oh, Bespin, Cloud City.
Yep.
All right, so like there's a handful, right?
Vulcan.
Then you do a series about a totally disconnected character whose name is almost, it would be like calling it this is my new TV show, Fatoween. Like, of course you're going to think there's a connection. I've never seen Andor, I should mention.
Really? Ooh, see, you're behind.
I know. Everybody says it's great. It's another thing. It's on my list, but my wife is like, she's like, you could watch this.
Tell your wife
when you get this away from me, and then she swallows the remote. And I'm like,
does she like Baby Yoda?
Yeah.
Just tell her it's in it. It's not, but just at the end, you'll be.
I think she's burnt out in Star Wars.
Okay.
We're like 10 minutes in. We haven't spoken shit about this movie.
It's not much. Well, there's some fun stuff to talk about this movie.
Tim, ridiculously for this, I had to stop taking notes at one point. I'm like, so the movie I did start is released in China as King Kong 3. It's basically a King Kong movie. It's 2012's Bigfoot. It was released. It had its debut on the Sci-Fi Channel, but was also released like a month or so after on DVD because back then people still bought Blu-rays and stuff. It's directed by Bruce Davison. Do you know who that is?
I looked it up. He played Willard in Willard, right? Did I get that name right?
Maybe. That's the rap movie, right?
Yeah. Isn't that him?
I thought
that's who directed this. Well, you tell me who you thought it is.
Well, Bruce Davison, he was the old sheriff in this movie.
Oh, maybe I got the people mixed up. Sorry.
I think you're thinking Bruce Davidson, who is like, what's his name? Bruce Dern. Are you thinking Bruce Dern?
No, thinking Bruce Jenner.
Bruce Jenner?
On the
Are you thinking Bruce
boxes?
Banner?
Maybe.
Bruce Banner?
Or Bruce,
it's Kendall Jenner. No, we know it's not Kendall Jenner. What is their name?
Wayne?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, Bruce Davison, he played the old sheriff in this movie, and you may recognize him from 2001's X-Men, where he played Senator Robert Kelly.
I looked that up. Yeah, I forgot that.
He got kidnapped by Magneto and turned into that weird fish blob, and he comes out of the water all naked, and Stan Lee sees his dingus.
Yep.
There's
a lot of people from other stuff in here.
Yeah, this...
Danny Bonaduce from Partridge Family. People know him.
Yep.
And
Greg
Barry
Brady from
Williams. Greg Brady, yeah.
Brady. We're not giving him his name.
Simon Quinn.
The one that's most shocking to me is Sherilyn Fenn.
Yeah,
from Twin Peaks is in this.
And Howard Hessman. He was from a big sitcom, WKRP in Cincinnati.
He's been on other SETI BIMCO. Yeah, so it's a lot of names, and it's I guess they're. I wouldn't have realized that Sherilyn Fenn in particular was having a career downturn, but I guess she was. Or maybe not. Maybe she's just friends with it. Maybe she read the script and was like, "Yeah, I want to be in King Kong 3."
I assume these movies are just tax write-offs. I don't know.
And I don't know. I mean,
because nobody tried. Anyway, and also Alice Cooper has a cameo in here.
Yeah, but I was going to save that.
Oh, no one cares about spoilers in this movie, George. No one's going to watch it.
So the movie opens up. I actually looked at the time code for the first minute of this movie. I'm like, is this good? Because it opens up with like this Lord of the Rings type mountain opening shot, and there's like this Danny Elfman Batman score almost playing, and we see like a bug get eaten by a frog, and the frog is eaten by a salmon, and the salmon is eaten by a bear. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting, and it's actually pretty good wildlife photography.
I thought that too. I thought, oh, you captured all this.
Yeah, yeah. And then like we see a hunter, and the hunter shoots the bear. And he's just like, and then we're not even a full minute into the movie, which I can't believe. Like they do not believe in like parsing out the surprise. There's that whole idea, popularized by Steven Spielberg famously on Jaws.
I thought
he
the same
couldn't
thing,
get the
George.
shark to work, so you rarely ever see the shark. You see it in the final scene in the movie when it's eating Quinn, and he's like, "Oh, it's dead, cruel eyes." But like you get suspense out of what you don't show. The original Aliens the same way.
Yep.
This movie with its piss poor, it's ridiculous.
CG.
It's CGI Bigfoot. We see it full on. We see every inch of it. We see its perineum.
Yes.
We see its balls. We see its little winking anus. We see everything.
Everything.
In the first minute.
Kablastic,
And it looks like
everything.
shit.
Yep.
And we have to mention, it's huge.
Yep. It's almost like King Kong.
It seems to grow at different. I don't know if it's actually a plot point that it's growing, but it's because at first I wrote that thing's like, I actually paused it and looked. I'm like, that thing is 5 times as tall as a person. So that thing's like 30 feet tall.
And guess,
Later, this thing gets up to like 60 feet tall. It's King Kong size.
And guess where this takes place? Did you notice?
South Dakota.
Deadwood.
Deadwood.
Where we
you know what?
talked about a movie called The Beast from Haunted Cave, which was better than this movie.
Yeah, every movie we've talked about is better than this movie. No, probably not. There's some of your like weird rapey motorcycle movies are not better than this, but
no.
This was not filmed there though. I got excited about that. I'm like, we could have done this in South Dakota. It was actually filmed in it wasn't filmed anywhere in South Dakota.
You didn't.
So that was a choice, huh? Is South Dakota a Bigfoot hotspot?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So yeah, so
woodsy.
Danny Bonaduce, who was in the Partridge Family, which was an old timey TV show that I only know because for some reason some misbegotten relative had bought me a set of trading cards of them when I was a kid.
What? That's a strange thing to have.
It was, man. So there was always like a few trading cards just hanging around the bottom of my like toy box. I'm like, what?
They were big. I had their pants, and I cried when my mom threw them away.
What was their pants?
The multicolored stripes up and down, like a rainbow stripes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They
about
all
them.
wore them. That was their uniform.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, it was about
On
like
stage.
a band, right?
Yeah, a family was a band,
Okay.
and they all dressed
Were they
alike.
Were they a blended family like the Bradys?
No, the father was dead. It was just the mother, her kids,
Oh, mom was dead.
and the manager. No, father. Or divorced.
Oh, the dad was
I don't
dead?
remember the plot. It was just the.
I'm sure dead back then. They wouldn't have. Divorced was a dirty word. They were
Yes.
like 3 minutes away from like being able to show like a husband and wife in the same bed.
He died on stage before the show started. He got hit by lightning.
And they set
or
his corpse
something.
on fire.
Yes, it's all a big stunt.
So Danny Bonaduce, who, as near as I could tell, was probably the breakout actor from that TV show. He was the only one who wasn't in the band, right? Wasn't he? He was like a little redheaded kid.
Bass player.
Oh,
George.
okay. I don't know. I think they were on an episode of Scooby Doo once as a guest star, but
There
I
was
might have been thinking.
There was
of
an
the Brady's.
episode where they met the Doobie Brothers, and
Again.
the mother called up the Doobie Brothers. and got
Is this
them, and
just
she
your
said-
go-to weirdness? Is this the Doobie Brothers becoming a thing?
Said,
with you?
"Hi, this is Partridge Family. Which Doobie you be?"
Oh, shut up.
So, yeah, they're going to put on
Can I
an
interrupt
80s.
the flow? Can I
Sure,
interrupt the flow?
interrupt it again.
If you are a person who listens to Seddy Bimco, can you write to us at settybimco@gmail.com and tell us why?
Yes, tell us why.
I want to know why. We're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Sure.
Like, do you like Tim's weirdness? Do you like my weird? Like, what are we doing that brings you back week after week?
Yes, Pat and Spider, tell us. That's
Yeah.
a podcast that listens to us.
Bat and Spider are vanquished foes. We are also, if you are a podcast interested in having a bout with us, please a feud, please write us. We are looking to fight with someone who puts up a better fight than than Bat and Spider.
Yes,
All
we're
right,
punching
so,
ourselves. You got that right.
So yeah, Danny Bonaduce is this DJ, and he's giving us an info dump about some music festival that's being held this weekend in Deadwood. It's like an 80s music festival. Which I'm like, you have two guys famous for 70s shit.
3, because we're going to have Alice Cooper. He was more famous in the 70s.
I was going to ask that when he came up. I'm like, isn't he more of a 70s guy?
Yep.
So do you think, I have a theory, Tim. I have a theory that there's 2 ways this went. Either they wrote this movie as an 80s festival, couldn't get any 80s sitcom actors to star in the leads, and just kept in all the references. Because they keep saying stuff like, oh, we're getting the police back together. And we got Husker Du at the airport and stuff. Like, none of that ever comes to anything.
No.
Or, this is my actual theory. Both Danny Bonaduce and Greg Brady are like, come on, we look younger than that. Nobody's going to believe we're from the 70s. Let's say that we're from the 80s.
They look pretty good for how old they are. Especially Greg. Because Greg was like a teenager in the 70s on the show.
How old was Danny Bonaduce?
He was a kid. He was like a kid. He was the smartest kid.
Are those wait?
Kid.
Isn't Brady Bunch 60s?
No, 70s.
Okay. All right. So Danny Bonaduce is this DJ, and he's also, it turns out, he's the one putting on this music festival, and he's got all these workmen clearing out trees, even though it's state land.
He mentions the police a few times, by the way.
He says right there, going to get the police back together.
When they broke up, George, did you buy every solo project? Do you know anybody that did?
You?
Yep, you're looking at him.
Yeah. But you didn't, because Tim, as we have established on previous episodes of Seddy Bimco, you didn't realize that Andy Summer went on to write the theme song to Ewoks.
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah,
that's not a solo project. That's just...
Oh, that was a very big solo project.
The Rhythmatist is my favorite. Stuart Copeland.
Who was that? Was it Stuart Copeland that did it, maybe? I don't know. I did buy Dream of Blue Turtles.
I did that too.
Yep, that's a Sting album, everybody. Sting was a musician in The Police. The Police was a band in the 80s.
And Andy Summers, he formed a Police tribute band. Can you guess what it's called?
The Summers Brothers?
The guitarists from The Police formed a Police tribute band. It's called Call the Police.
That's a good name. But
he doesn't need to. They're all rich. He's just like probably wants to have fun.
But he hates Sting.
They don't.
So they're going to rip down these woods. Greg Brady arrives with a group of women who I soon realize he has like a harem.
A harem of girls who are no older than 25.
Yeah, all of them are very young.
This is an odd point in the movie that's never even addressed, except for a little bit. A little bit,
yeah.
Danny Bonaduce, did you write down what he said to him?
He says, I wrote down a couple quotes here, but none of them look like they're Danny Bonaduce quotes.
Well, he says to Greg, it looks like you're still hanging out with the granola crowd. I like my girls like fine wine, well-aged. So that was the only...
Is that the first time he makes a reference to sleeping with Greg Brady's mom?
I don't know. I didn't know.
Turns out it is a quote-unquote plot point.
It is. They hate each other.
They hate each other. So we learn... kind of not directly, but you piece it together from this stuff that they were bandmates. They were in an 80s band together. We don't learn what the name is yet. I'm saving that for later because I have a list about it.
Okay.
But they were in some sort of band together, and they split up. Now they hate each other. And also, apparently, the first time he says it, you think is maybe a joke, but it comes up like 5 or 6 times that Danny Bonaduce slept with Greg Brady's mom. And I honestly, I really thought we were going to see Mrs. Brady at a cameo at the end of this.
Or somebody.
But we never did.
Or somebody else addressed the fact that Greg Brady has a harem of young girls.
So he has these young women. It's always young women, and they chain themselves to the equipment because he doesn't want them to rip down these trees because it's on state land. Sherilyn Fenn arrives. She is what seems to be a cop or a sheriff. We learn later she's just a PI from Oklahoma City who's helping out because her father just died.
Yeah.
And then she arrives with Bruce Davison, who's the director, the aforementioned Senator Kelly from X-Men, and Howard Hessman, who plays the mayor. And the mayor's like, lock these people up.
It's always an evil mayor.
Yep. She fires her gun in the air and stops it after Danny Bonaduce just starts dragging the protesters who are chained to her tractor.
That was odd.
And there's a bit where somebody asks them, like, because they're bandmates, Bonaduce and Greg Brady is like, are you two going to sing at the festival? And they're like, in unison, we're like, I'm not singing with him. And I wrote down thinking, I'm like, oh, for sure, we're going to see them sing. But they don't. Spoilers, we don't see them sing. Greg Brady gets dragged off. The mayor gives Bonaduce an envelope, I guess, of like...
full of money.
Anyway, that's what we learned a little bit about the Fenn stuff, that she's really a PI.
That's the only conflict in the movie. Bonaduce.
Well, that and the giant... huge Bigfoot continuously killing dozens of people.
Bonaduce. No, his name is Danny Bonaduce.
Danny Bonaduce.
He just hates Greg. Greg hates him.
Then we see a workman with a chainsaw is walking around in the woods, I guess nearby, and like Bigfoot appears, and now Bigfoot's like, he's like 30 feet tall. He's so big. He keeps sneaking up on people. He's so big.
Does he step on him? No, he throws him down a hill.
He punches him, and he goes flying down the hill back to where the other workers are. And then, like, they're like, again, this movie just started. And, like, he must kill, like, 6 of them. Yes. He's ripping people in half, biting their heads off, throwing them over trees and stuff.
And George.
He picks up a tractor, throws it, gets half burned. Yeah.
But George, did you... I don't know if there's any connection. Did you notice anything familiar about the way this CG Bigfoot moves? He makes all the same moves that the characters on Rampage, the arcade game, makes. Pretty much, he punches down to the ground. I was seeing it.
I did notice that they used the same actions, maybe from like they ran the program a few times and like just had different angles on it where he kept doing the same things. Yeah.
Punching down or punching out. It seemed like an arcade game movements to me.
You folks, this is
Rampage.
He looks so ridiculous. He has a vaguely gorilla-like face. He has flyaway hair. He's balding.
He's balding.
He's got really long claws on his feet and his hands, which I don't think anybody's ever pictured Bigfoot looking like that.
He's balding.
And
Maybe he's from the 80s, George. He's like, no, I don't want to hear an 80s flashback concert.
Maybe it's his whole thing. He's like, no, in the 80s I was cool. He's very heavy, judging by the continuous boom, boom, boom sound effect, but he moves. He's such an obvious effect. He moves with no weight at all.
They could not afford a Foley artist. It was just computer boom, boom, boom every time he walks. Same sound.
Right. Yeah. Tim,
by the way, Danny.
Yeah. Danny Bonaduce?
His name in the movie, by the way, is Mr. Henderson. Did you notice that? And I was like, oh, Harry and the Hendersons.
I
don't know.
I didn't get that.
I'm giving the movie too much credit.
I honestly remember his first name was like Harley.
Yeah.
Henderson. But I never bothered to learn it because I only refer to him as Danny Bonaduce, and I only remember refer to Barry, whatever his name is, Greg Brady. I'm sorry. I know that's disrespectful. I normally am more sympathetic to the plights of people who are typecast, but you know, fuck you. I had to watch this movie. So bunch of people get killed, and the last one is a guy who's like on a flip phone filming this, and he's on the phone with Bonaduce as it happens.
Yes, he's calling him.
So there's like evidence of Bigfoot, and like we see he gets his head bit off, his phone falls in the mud, and then I'm like, well, that's going to be something. No, it's not.
Nope. I thought so too.
Then the next scene is Danny Bonaduce is walking. He's on the radio with like the foreman, like the fireman.
Yeah.
Because they're talking, there was a fire because when he throws the tractor, it explodes.
Right.
And they're downplaying what happened. I'm like, okay, so maybe he doesn't know yet. But then the next scene is the fireman takes him to see this huge footprint. And these footprints, because this thing is huge.
Yes, sir.
You've all seen a Bigfoot footprint. They're like over a foot, they're like almost a foot and a half long. They're really big. This thing is toes. It's like 5 foot long. It's big as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And Bonaduce's like, it's a hoax.
Yep.
And I'm like, are we supposed to think he really thinks it's a hoax? Because like, didn't we see like 6 workmen get killed? And there's even a scene afterwards where we see bodies. Like half of them laying, like we see them ripped in half. So there's evidence.
I think
a tractor got thrown and blew up.
I think Danny covered them up. He just shoved them in the river.
Which, when we see, because he doesn't want to lose money for this big concert to bring in the bucks. But when we see this fucking concert, there's no way that I have had book signings with bigger crowds than this.
I know.
And that's not even an exaggeration. Let's see. Then we see a couple in an RV. They're arguing. It's a funny little bit. And I should have done air quotes. Yeah, there's like a funny GPS going recalculating. They're like, I told you to turn left. She's like, shut up, you heartbeat. And they somehow managed to crash into Bigfoot despite the fact he's like 30 feet tall. And he picks them up and throws them off a cliff.
Their name was the Lockhorns, by the way. I don't know if you noticed.
They were very alive. For those of you wondering, like Tim does have, you already heard with his Motley crew, Tim likes to bring up
the Lockhorns. It's a comic strip.
No, they don't.
It's a funny comic strip about.
Stop picking on it. I told you to stop picking on it.
I'm not picking on it.
You're picking on it.
It's famous. Wow. That's what I wrote here. Too much Bigfoot. Come on.
Yeah, they should have really saved the Bigfoot. You get sick of seeing him, and he looks like trash. They would have been better off. It's bewildering they didn't just put a guy in a gorilla costume.
Yeah, that's more fun for us.
Yeah. I mean, also, you know what? The whole reason why Bigfoot is such a popular, quote unquote, like real monster is because it's very easy for people to put in a gorilla costume and walk through the woods and take a few photos. He's not a fucking King Kong with like jumping and claws and shit.
I do have the male policeman somewhere around this point. Because this crazy stuff happens, right? There's a fire, there's footprints. Yep. And he says, people don't believe all this Bigfoot stuff, even after that crazy mess of 93.
Yeah. Oh, is this your list?
And we never hear what happened in 1993.
No, we do later. We absolutely do.
Oh, well, I wrote what I thought happened in 1993.
Okay, let's hear it.
We do? I must have fell asleep at the end.
That's like his character arc is him sharing that information.
Died.
His partner died. Like there was the guy that went up looking. That's how they discovered the Bigfoot lives in these caves that connect everything and connect in all over town.
Well, I love history, so
yeah,
the crazy stuff
I
that
love
happened.
history, and I love specifically 3 things that happened in history.
Yeah,
I
1993,
love Nazi Germany.
93.
I love the Zapruder film, and I love
George, 1993.
Star Wars. Yeah, okay.
Here's some crazy stuff that happened then. Prince changed his name to artist, formerly known as Prince. That happened in 93.
Right.
In 93, President George Bush changed his name to George Bush, formerly known as the President of the United States. That happened in 93.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep, big day.
93, a bush in Prince Charles's garden that gave Charles a rash had its name changed to Bush, formerly known as Prince Charles' favorite shrubbery. Okay. Mr. Charles Bush of Georgetown, Indiana, changed his name to man, formerly known as a normal person, not obsessed with collecting Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies, 93. History. That's what was going on then.
What's going on? Tim, it's like our younger listeners, it's like I was alive in the 90s.
That's 93 people. History. People were crazy for Beanie Babies.
They were. So to return to the movie, and what would have been a normal film, we would have been we've already been at the climax because now it's the big concert, right?
Yeah.
And the mayor's like trying to shut it down. And Bonaduce, even though like there's the payoff between him, Bonaduce's like, oh, I can't. I got big people. Sting's here.
Sting's at the airport. He said.
Yeah, Sting's at the airport. He's like, you don't have Sting. You don't even have the Archies. I was excited to hear that part.
We should mention that it's been snowing too. This concert is like
no. That's the thing. It really hasn't. They make the comment about like how it's snowing because like clearly there was something happening. It's like there's a lot of mud from rain, and there's a funny little line where a cop is like, look at all this mud. He goes, well, Woodstock had mud.
Yes,
but man, there are
small group.
I'm not even exaggerating to say that there is maybe 40 people at this concert.
Half of them are Greg Brady's little harem of girls.
His harem, who shows up in the front row. And there was a scene where, in order to humiliate him, because they used to be bandmates, Bonaduce and Greg had met up before in the woods. Mm-hmm. And he asks Greg Brady, he's like, I want you to sing solo at the thing. He's like, really, you do? Because we learned, I guess Greg Brady, like he still wants to recapture some of that glory.
I lost all respect for Greg at this point.
It was pretty bad.
He cared about the forest, but he's like, oh, I can sing? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and it's at this point where we're like, this is like a full half hour into the movie, not the end of the movie like it should be. We finally learned what their band was called.
I didn't hear it. What was it?
You'd think it'd be a point, right? It was called Midnight Daffodil.
Ooh, I did not hear that.
Sucks. So I made a list of alternate names for Bonaduce and Barry's band. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
All right. Number 1. Oh, yeah. By the way, Tim, I don't know if you'll keep this in or not. I was listening to old episodes recently. You used to play list music. I think that's funny. I think we should bring that back.
Okay, because now I don't have the music for the stories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right.
This music.
Number 1, The Partridge Bunch.
Nice.
Number 2, Sadness.
That's accurate.
Number 3, this one was already taken, The Beatles. Yeah. Number 4, Husker Doo Doo. Number 5, The Pet Shop Old Men. Number 6, this one is more of a description than the actual sound. It's kind of like the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yes.
It's just a long, wet, rumbling fart noise.
Nice. I like that one.
Yeah. Number 7, this one really explains why this movie was starring some of these actors. Financial dire straits.
Nice.
This next one also explains it. Number 8, Men Out of Work. Number 9, Danny Bandaducci. And number 10, the number 10 band they could have named instead of Midnight Daffodil, the Motherfucking Motherfuckers.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, it turns out they both fucked each other's mothers.
Oh, that's right.
Spoilers. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Good one. I thought you put they might not be giants in there, but that might be there.
Oh,
they might not
they
be
might
giants.
be Bigfoots. I could have done that. So many bands that could have done, Tim. Did you make a list?
Nope. Men
make
with
a list right now?
Men with hats.
Men with
That's all they could afford, hats. Yeah, that's how bad they were. No clothes.
That's all they're wearing?
Yes,
do they hang the hats above their groins?
Yes.
Thank goodness for that.
They're wearing socks down there, and then the Red Hot Chili Peppers are like, hey, come on. We copyrighted that.
Hey, they said under the bridge one time, it's where I drew some blood. The audience is of this giant music festival is no exaggeration 45 people. Like I said, I've definitely had signings with more people than this.
And one guy's play something, an old song like they do at concerts.
Back to Back, which was their big hit, I guess.
And he's like, no,
again,
quiet.
thought this was going to be something that calls back at the climactic. I honestly, even though I'd seen, quote unquote, seen this movie, and that's been in the same room as it played, I thought for sure the climax was going to be them on stage, lowering the Bigfoot, playing their big hit, realizing they still have a connection. No. So we established their shitty name, Midnight Daffodil.
There's no character arcs in this movie, George.
No character arcs, no. They had a band. They had a hit called Back to Back. There's one guy dressed up as Bigfoot in the audience.
That's right.
So Greg Brady sings a song, which is apparently not Back to Back, and everyone hates it, but his weird harem who are swaying like they're fucking hypnotized.
Tripping, yes.
And then Danny Bonaduce shows up with special guest star and fourth build in this movie, Alice Cooper.
Wow.
Who was probably the best actor in the movie, weirdly.
Yeah.
No offense to Sherilyn Fenn. And Alice Cooper's like, what is this, a hootenanny? And he's like, he sees just the 45 people on stage, and he's like, I'm getting out of here.
Did he have
like,
a snake?
No, you come back. We go way back.
Yeah.
And he looks at Danny Bonaduce and he goes, I've only known you 2 minutes and I hate you.
Yeah, I know. Best line of the movie.
Best line of the movie. I'm like, I've only known Danny Bonaduce from watching this movie, and I hate him too.
He was like, where's Husker Du? And where he named a bunch of names.
Yeah. Husker Du would have been the band.
Yes.
Of Greg Brady and Danny Bonaduce.
So he does get on stage with 2 kids for some reason, and they can't even afford a Alice Cooper song. They just I don't know.
Yeah, he says, this is Deadwood, right? You're all undead heads. And I wrote down here, and this is true, there are so few concert goers, they spent so little money on extras, you literally recognize them all. Yes. They're practically characters. Every time they scan out the audience, oh, there's that guy with the beard again. There's the lady with the weird hat. It's ridiculous.
There's that guy with a walker.
And then we see there's a lady who I couldn't decide if she's one of Greg Brady's crew. She's like a hippie, and she has to use the bathroom.
Yeah,
she's bumming cigarettes off people. So she goes into the woods, and she's about to pull down her pants. And you would think Kevin Caplasто. No, you're like, ooh, do we get to see some water play? No, Kevin Caplasto. You don't see nothing because somehow again she gets snuck up on by Bigfoot, who is now about 50 feet tall, and he throws her into the porta potties, which I guess the joke is that she was about to pee in the woods and there was porta potties there.
Well, she went to every person in line. He said, "Can I cut? Can I cut?" And they're all like, "No."
Is that what she was saying?
You missed that? Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was asking for a butt, like a cigarette.
No, she wanted to cut in line. None of those guys were gentlemen.
Yeah, I would have let her. I'm a gentleman, Tim.
Yeah.
So the Bigfoot then attacks the concert. He kills Alice Cooper.
Right.
He picks up the Bigfoot guy who is just drinking like a drink, and he eats him. The 40 or so people in attendance, instead of scattering and running every which direction like you would expect, they all run in a big clump. So he's just running after him, and he tears the one cop in half. I'm thinking wow, thank goodness the movie's almost over. And this is when I made the mistake of pausing at the half-hour mark. I'm like, I've no one to blame but myself. This is my fault. I'm a bad person for doing this to me.
You are.
And to Tim. Tim, I offer my official apology. I will tender my resignation from Seddy Bimco if you feel it's necessary.
No, I find humor in everything. And
everything.
I wanted to mention that Greg Brady, his band of girls were there listening to him. And he was a teenager in the 70s, so he's got to be pretty old. And this whole movie was creepy with him hanging out with these young girls. But they all thought he was really cool. And one wanted to be the teacher's pet and everything. So I have a list of reasons why the girls think Greg Brady is so cool.
Oh, boy. All right, let's hear it. Play the list music, Tim.
Well, number 1, he buys them trendy alcoholic drinks like Zima.
Ooh, wait, 90s reference? Wait, that's neither 80s or 2000s. Tim.
He works hard all week to save the forest, and only on Saturdays does he take time to have an all-night tickle fight with them.
Ooh. Wait, they think that's cool, though?
Yes.
Okay.
If Greg says it's cool.
Tim, are you and I doing it wrong? Or should we be living our lives differently?
No.
Should we look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, what would Greg Brady do?
He knows many cool facts about the artist formerly known as Prince, like how Prince believes that clothing is really just a prison that we should be free of. So he knows lots of cool stuff. They think he's cool.
Yeah, he's... You're right. Why is this not addressed?
It's never addressed.
It's like Greg Brady's not playing. This guy should be played as a fucking huge creep. Because he is. But I feel like most of this movie you're supposed to think he's the good guy.
Yeah, he never acts on it, but still, it's creepy.
Danny Bonaduce plays leans into the villainly, and I think it's supposed to be you could get to by the end they're both bad guys.
They are,
but Greg Brady, maybe that's why he's so successful at this, because he has his he's got his little group of women who weren't even born when Brady Bunch was on the air.
They even live in a shed in the woods. It's doubly creepy. It's not like he has a big house. They seem to all live in that shed. Yeah, don't they?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
All right. So after there was a commercial break, and then we were returned to a news thing, and it's they're like, it's been 3 days since the catastrophe, and still no sign of the creature. I'm like, this fucking thing is 50 feet tall. It leaves footprints that are 6 feet long. How are you not finding this? This is the same problem I had when we did King Kong Lives.
Right.
I'm sorry, you don't lose a creature that big when it leaves big footprints anywhere. Let's see. We hear Bonaduce on the radio being like,
he hires Bubbles at this point, right? Bubbles from The Wire. Oh, okay.
Not yet. No.
Do you really? What are we missing?
Well, I have a list in between that and stuff. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Bonaduce's being like, I'm bringing business to the town. The National Guard's in town. Fenn and Davison are like, we have to get it because we're the cops. We're 2 cops.
Oh, is that Fenn and Davison? That's their names?
Oh, Sherilyn Fenn and Bruce Davison, the actors. I learned no characters' names.
True, me either.
Greg Brady decides, because I guess he is a bad guy more I think about it, he's creating a save bet. He creates a Save Bigfoot rally.
Yep. The poster looks like the Hope poster for Obama. They just copied it, put Bigfoot's face on there. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, the poster I noticed. There was one that looked like the Patterson-Gimlin film. They put a sticker on the door.
Oh, maybe they did a couple. Okay.
They probably did. So it's all these young women, and he there is a scene in a car where she's like, I feel bad for Bigfoot. He looks at her. So I think it's supposed to be he's sleazy because he's just trying to appeal to these hippie girls.
Maybe.
But he's at a rally, and they're like, well, a reporter is well, why he killed 20 people.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's the mayor's we're blaming this dumb animal. It's the mayor and Danny Bonaduce. And then he gives a bunch of tips to avoid Bigfoot. And I forgot the real tips were, but Tim, I wrote a list.
Oh, tips to avoid Bigfoot?
Yeah. All right. Number 1, carry in, carry out. That's a real list. If you're going to the woods, bring everything out with you. That's including your dukes.
And Bigfoot's cat.
And Bigfoot's cat. Number 2, stop leaving out big shoes. You put out big shoes, you're going to get big feet to put in them, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Number 3, stop wandering around the woods yelling, here, Bigfoot, Bigfoot, here, Bigfoot, Bigfoot. It's a way to avoid him. Number 4, don't let Alice Cooper play music anymore.
No.
Yeah. Number 5, ban all sales of monkey suits and video cameras.
Nice.
Number 6, eat less and exercise. That's just a tip on
wrong
his
list.
weight. That was a mistake. Number 7, don't let Greg Brady play music again ever.
God, no.
And the number 8 way to avoid Bigfoot, just stay the fuck inside.
True.
Yep. All right.
And keep your dog inside. Bigfoot's hate dogs.
Tim, there's not a single dog in this whole movie.
Nope. That's just a
Is that weird?
Bigfoot fact. If you read Bigfoot books in the 70s like I did.
Or if you've seen a previous Seddy Bimco episode, Boggy Creek, there's a lot of dog throwing in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a nonprofit Bigfoot Alliance is called, and somebody goes, people have called you the Jane Goodall Bigfoot. I'm like, whatever. Now here's when Bubbles comes in, Tim, the whole time I'm like, this guy looks so familiar, but I don't give enough of a shit about this movie. Look it up.
Yep. It's Bubbles from The Wire.
It's Bubbles.
Oof.
We see him. He kills a puma. He gets a call from Bonaduce. And we learn he's a famous. This is the type of character that appears in more episodes of Seddy Bimco than any other.
Yeah.
He's like a Craven the Hunter type guy.
Yep.
He's famous hunter. He hunts all the animals of the world, and he's celebrated for it. And he's like, yeah, I'll do anything for you, Danny Bonaduce. When I appeared in your fucking radio show in Deadwood, population 5,000 people, which I remember from when we did our South Dakota episode.
Yes.
It's what made me what I am today. I'm like,
wow.
Bubbles.
Yep, that's a character. Don't Let the River Beast Get You. That was a character like this.
Yep.
Every movie. You're right.
We get this a lot. There's a lot of these cravens, these second-rate cravens. Fourth-rate cravens. Let's be honest here. Then there's a scene of some dudes and rafts they're like, we're going to go film Bigfoot. And like there's two, and like there's one guy who won't get in there, and his wife or girlfriend who is apparently a non-speaking extra, so she never says anything.
Right. Doesn't
get any lines. They go into the water. They're about 3 feet of water puddling in these rafts. Bigfoot comes out. This is the worst he looks in the whole movie.
Yeah.
He's standing in water that's not even up to his mid shin. These idiots are in this little rubber raft trying to, like, they could stand up and walk away and they wouldn't be up to waist deep. And Bigfoot kicks them and it looks like shit.
Yeah.
And I guess they're killed. And the one guy stayed behind. He finds his dead girlfriend and he's crying. And then he looks up and Bigfoot steps on him.
Can't believe they weren't a little bit creative. You could have heard Bigfoot and shown blood in the water. It would have been more interesting. But
most problems with this movie, that's not true. But okay, most problems with the creator of this movie, the creature, don't make a fucking digital Bigfoot that's on camera every time. Just film this shit with like a guy in a monkey suit.
Or
this is like you're doing a vampire movie, like a Dracula movie. Instead of just giving a guy fangs, you make a giant 48-foot bat monster every time. You don't need to do this.
Nope. It's a baffling movie. So Bubbles shows up. He has Bigfoot Deathmobile written on his truck. That was cool. One of Greg's hippie girls gets arrested, so that Greg has to come in and pay money to get her out.
And he throws like a big wad of like, I don't know why the money is clearly all small bills, and is it like stripper money? Is that what they're trying to show? Or
this is the money my girls steal.
He meets up with this like really crazed looking blonde woman who's like his new follower, and I thought that was going to amount. Well, she's like a character for like a scene or two, but
she's the new teacher's pet.
Yeah, and there's like you see this competition. It's like he's clearly building like a Manson sort of cult.
Yep.
And we see some guys spying on them because he's got these tranquilizer darts, and this part was interesting to me. He's like, because the Bigfoot Alliance, he's trying to save the Bigfoot. He wants him taken care of in a peaceful way. And he's like, Greg Brady's like, a scientist donated them, a scientist supporter, after studying Bigfoot's closest relatives. And I'm like, what are those? And we never learned. They kind of tease you a few times. So I made my own list.
Nice. I missed this.
Other close relatives of Bigfoot.
I fell asleep.
You did, didn't you?
Am I in this list? Probably.
Yes. Number 1, Gigantolopithecus. This is actually like a real thing for people who believe in Bigfoot. A lot of them think it's an extinct ape from Asia called Gigantolopithecus. Number 2, the Yeti, another mythical beast that people think is related to Bigfoot. Number 3, skunk ape, Florida's own, another thing that's close to a Bigfoot. Number 4, RFK Jr. He's just a shaped Bigfoot. That's why he's such a fucking ape. Number 5, Eddie Blurry Indistinct Object.
Yes.
Like every photo ever taken of Bigfoot. Number 6, my co-host Tim Hamilton. You called it. And number 7, close relative Bigfoot, a typical Republican voter.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I'm feeling angry today. I'm angry.
How about a standing bear, a bear that walks on his hind feet?
No, that doesn't happen. Tim, you're being crazy. It's much easier to believe in a Bigfoot.
So I did write down the one man who is friends with Bubbles. He says, they say Bigfoot smells like garbage. And that makes sense. I'm like, really? Well, why does that make sense? Did you hear that?
Yeah. This was where I'm beginning at this point, be like, I can't write this shit down anymore. Because that was the thing I felt like I should write down and maybe make jokes of. I'm like, nah.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see.
They steal. The guy that's was spying Greg Brady steals his tranquilizer darts.
Yeah.
And turns out he works for Bonaduce.
Yep.
And then the main girl of Greg's group, a woman named Priya, arrives with this map. She's like, somebody at the gas station told me this is where he's spotted. And so Greg Brady's like, I know where he must be. So him and 2 other women who I thought it was Priya, but it's not. And like the blonde lady who joined up, the crazy lady, they decide they're going to go get him. Also, Sherilyn Fenn has decided she's going to go get him.
Yeah.
And they run into each other in a cave. They almost get shot. The blonde lady's really excited to find a giant footprint, and she's filling it with plaster and measuring it. Yeah, which is like, there's not enough plaster in the world. That thing is going to weigh 700 pounds. It's a 6-foot print. And then while she's sitting there, again, the 60-foot tall Bigfoot sneaks up on her, and she sees it in the footprint, and it steps on her. Like it matches exactly. Yep.
And Greg finds out his tranquilizers are gone. He didn't check his gun.
Never fucking checks until the moment where like members of his harem are being ripped apart by this giant thing. And he's like, oh, look at that. There's no darts.
Spoiler. pretty much all of his harem gets killed, and he never shows any remorse. He just grabs another girl and keeps going.
He just keeps replacing. And I thought they were going to maybe set up him and Sherilyn Fenn as love interest. No.
Ooh, why would he? No one wants to date Greg.
No, nobody.
He's got a harem of young girls.
It's got weird hair.
We have CG car. The cars, the cop cars that wrecked, that was CG. You noticed that, right? Not real cars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oof.
Actually, Jim, I didn't realize we were here already. I'm looking. I wrote, somehow this is only half done. I wrote, a military helicopter arrives. Military's in quotes. Bigfoot kills the helicopter. I wrote, I'm going to stop taking notes. And Tim, I did. Should we wrap this up?
Well, let's see. Do I have any lists?
Do you have any lists or anything?
The tanks shoot at Kong. He gets set on fire.
I like you called him Kong. You're just like, yeah.
It's what's written in my notes.
Yeah, he gets. There's an actual tank.
Yes.
He gets shot point blank range and just kind of blows part of his hair off on his arm.
He's more bald. I have Greg's groupies. They're all dead. And Greg gets on a hang glider with a motor to go shoot Kong with his gun. Tranquilizer. While Danny
Bandaducci.
He's in a helicopter trying to shoot Kong. And Kong climbs.
Can I interrupt you about the helicopter for a second?
Sure.
We see the scenes, the close-ups. It's Danny Bonaduce with a sniper rifle in the helicopter. But because these helicopters are just shitty CGI,
yes,
we keep seeing them like lighting up with like Gatling guns on the fucking Bigfoot. It's so funny. And like, I'm like, is that supposed to be Danny Bonaduce shooting that?
And the army is there to stop everyone. And Danny shows up. He's like, we'll get by. Watch this. I don't know if you remember the scene. And there's a woman soldier. And she's like, you can't come through here. And Danny's like, oh, okay. And she says, oh, I know your voice. You're on the radio, aren't you? Oh, I listened to your show. Right. Sure, you can go through.
And he gets her name, too. I'm like, does that mean something? I don't think it did anything.
But she says she remembers all his famous morning DJ teams because he was on a few.
Here's a list. All right.
There was Goonie and the Chunks.
Wait.
They were.
Is that a reference to the Goonies?
Sure.
Okay.
They were formerly known as Han and the Nerf Herders. Mm-hmm. And they were formerly known as Spicoli and the Ridgemonts. And they...
I don't get that one.
Ridgemont High, Spicoli. Formerly known as Humperdinck and the Giants.
I don't get that one.
Princess Bride. Formerly known as Toby and the Goblins.
I get that one.
Formerly known as Gizmo and the Mogwais.
Oh, I get that one too.
Formerly known as Wilbury and the Travelers. Those are all his morning zoo crews.
Wow. So it's amazing he's still employed at all.
Yes. They just change it up every week.
Let's see how the movie ends. Bigfoot punches a car that goes in, kills Bruce Davison. Bubbles gets shot. I don't remember how. Yeah. He climbs Mount Rushmore.
And the army shoots a missile at them while Greg and Danny are fighting each other on top.
Yeah, and this is the bit. Like the quote-unquote main characters, Greg and Danny, who are fighting over this stuff, and like they're like punching each other.
And the police on the ground are like, get off the mountain. The army's coming.
Yeah, like Sherilyn Fenn's yelling, get off the mountain. Like she's like 300 miles away. There's no way they would ever hear her. Somehow, Danny Bonaducci's hanging off Lincoln's face.
They carry Grant
and Greg
to
is
him.
reaching to grab him, and then he's slipping, and he's reaching out to the Bigfoot. And the Bigfoot's looking, and meanwhile, the U.S. military fires a fucking missile right at Abraham Lincoln's face, blows up his face, kills all three of them. Yep.
And it ends with them having two statues made out of them. Because for some reason, they were heroes. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, they called these... First off, the mayor, who was in a wheelchair because he got injured. Did you know how he got hurt?
I think it was a trolley car accident we didn't talk about.
I'm being serious, Tim. I didn't fall asleep in this movie. I don't remember. Like, was that a deleted scene?
Probably.
It's 1 year later. You can see in the background a painting shows they've recarved Lincoln's face after the military shot a missile into it. And really terrible statue of the two of them. And he called them young men. I'm like, by what metric are Danny Bonaduce and Greg Brady young men?
He was covering up for Greg. He's like, yeah, he was young. He didn't have a young harem. He wasn't an old guy
I
with
bet
a
you it was
young
Greg.
harem.
Greg was the one. He's like, look, I'll do this movie, but guys, look how pretty I am. I don't think anyone's going to think I was a kid in the 70s. That's crazy. Let's say I'm in an 80s band. We'll call the band, what was the band's name?
Midnight Back to Back? I don't know.
Let's just go with the Pet Shop Old Men. Man, that certainly was a movie, Tim. Yep.
Don't watch it, people. You're just coming here to hear us have a good time.
Now we have the part of the show where Tim and George talk about how this movie is like Star Wars and Labyrinth.
So, how is this movie like Star Wars? Well, Greg Brady, he saw Star Wars in the theater when he was a kid. And the girls that Greg Brady was hanging out with in this movie, they think that R2-D2 is that meltdown that was going to happen to all the computers at the end of 1999, a.k.a. the year they were born.
Probably true. And this movie came, folks, I remember this movie came in 2012, so ew.
Okay.
And I like to say how this is like Labyrinth. So, Tim, you remember in Labyrinth how it opens up with the CGI owl?
Oh, yeah.
First ever example of quote-unquote realistic CGI in a film. It's dated poorly. That was from the 80s. It still looks better than this Bigfoot.
It does.
Like by leaps and bounds. So the way they are similar is they both have what is less than perfect CGI, but Labyrinth has a good reason for it.
Because
it was the first movie ever to have CGI.
That's Jim Henson.
This movie,
come on.
Hey, don't you insult my guy.
No, this movie's terrible.
Garbage.
Oh.
All right.
So,
So,
I thought you were going to say it was because, David Bowie in Labyrinth, he kidnapped a baby. And obviously Greg Brady in this movie, he kidnapped a lot of babies. He was keeping around.
And also, that movie was full of goblins, and Danny Bonaduce is a goblin. So there was a lot of ways I could have done, yeah. I could have made a thing comparing Ludo to the Bigfoot. The Bigfoot, as we learned, smells bad. So basically, this movie is a sequel. Like, it was released as King Kong 3 in China. Could have been released as Labyrinth 2.
Could have been.
Oh, my God. Alice Cooper was playing the David Bowie role.
Wherever you are, wherever you're hiding, I'll find you. I'll get you. I'll get you.
Revenge.
I'll get you.
He's gonna write
Well,
some-
our new ending is just like reasons this should or shouldn't have a sequel. We used to tell stories. And if you want us to tell stories, just write us 500 letters and we'll do it again.
500, or just write us anything.
No, it's 500 letters.
No, anything.
Do you want me to?
We want to encourage people writing. And you know what? I know from experience, if we get long letters, you don't like to read them because
Nope.
you don't. So
I'm
500 letters
done.
won't get you read.
Once we're done, I'm out of here. You got to write an interesting letter, right, Dirk? Dirk writes interesting letters. He talked to Ringo and made Ringo call the show.
Yeah, it was definitely really Ringo too.
Bat and Spider, they do not write good letters. So I got to decompress from our feud. So don't
You were
write
the one
us.
who spoke to me. You're like we have to stop picking on these guys. They're gentle souls who weep. So whether or not this movie is deserving of revenge, don't we talk about who would need revenge in this movie?
No, you can do whatever you want. I'm doing a list of reasons why it should or shouldn't have a revenge
Okay, let's hear
sequel.
it.
But you can, okay.
No, I want to hear you first because I'm still trying to figure out this new format.
Well, I don't want it to be sequel because everyone died. So if they make it a sequel, it would be a prequel. And I don't want to see any more of Danny Bonaduce's old DJ crews because there was a lot of them. There was Otis and the Ababas, formerly known as Replicant and the Deckards, formerly known as Gozer and the Slimers, formerly known as Yippee-Ki-Yay and the Mother Effers, formerly known as Belle and the Screechers, formerly known
Don't
as
get that one.
Saved by the Bell,
Oh,
formerly known
wow.
as Elf, All Laughing Fools, formerly known as Here's Johnny and the Scatmans,
Whoa.
formerly known
I like
as
that.
Solo and the Corbamites.
Wait, what?
Solo and the Corbamites. Corbamite?
that?
Corbamite.
What are you trying
Solo
to
and
say?
the Corbamite.
Are you trying to say carbonite?
Oh my God, Carbonite.
Oh my God! See, folks, he doesn't know
Corbamite.
shit. He doesn't know shit
Corbamite.
about Star Wars.
That
You're
was
pretending.
That's the name of a Star Trek episode, the Corbamite
I bet you
maneuver.
that does sound like Star Trek somehow.
That was the one with Ron Howard's little brother playing an alien. Did you ever see that one?
I mean, that fucking weird lumpy-headed guy.
No, he's a He's only 5 years old, and they just dub an old man's voice on him. He's a little alien. That's Ron Howard's
I
brother.
never saw it, but like that guy is one of the most disconcerting looking people. Like I'm glad he has a successful acting career and a talented brother, because otherwise he's just on wanted posters just for looking at what he does.
He's been on every iteration of Star Trek as somebody.
He's even in the new one with.
I don't know if he's been on the new one yet. I have to check. Okay, that's your Star Trek moment.
All right.
So what do you do?
I got nothing because
You did great last week. You said something.
Well, you know,
and
we talked about
I
it.
said cocaine, and it was like cocaine. It was funny. It was hilarious.
You know, the thing is, we record so far in advance. I don't remember what I did last week, so I can't. I think so. It's just like I think I talked about who would deserve revenge in this movie.
Who would deserve revenge?
And it is
in
the
this
problem.
movie?
So like both Bonaduce and Greg Brady die, and Bruce Davison dies, and Bubbles dies. The only people who live, I mean, I guess Howard Hessman wants revenge for like somehow being paralyzed off camera in a scene
what
that got
happened
cut.
to him?
I think he maybe has a case for seeking revenge on the film editor.
I think
Sherilyn Fenn deserves to seek revenge on her agent.
Right?
I hope that was the one that upset me.
Yeah.
You know, she was great in Twin Peaks. She was on the cover of I remember when I was a kid, I had an issue of Rolling Stone that she was in the cover of. And like, that woman's impossibly glamorous.
Yep.
And I'm like, I remember looking at it as a kid and being like, I sure hope one day she doesn't star in a made-for sci-fi TV movie about Bigfoot.
Did you also have a People magazine she was in?
No.
Because you were, I don't know. I just wonder if you did the People magazine crossword puzzle and it melted your brain.
No. Man, no.
I thought maybe Howard Hessman went to Greg Brady's house to creep on those girls, and he beat his legs until he can no longer walk. You know, Greg. He's like, no one touches my girls but me.
No one touches it. I hope. I was hoping for. I want to see a sequel where Greg Brady's mom comes, and she is played by what's her name? Florence Nightingale. Florence Henderson. Wait, is her name really Florence Henderson?
I think so. I think you got the right name.
And Bonaduce's character was named Henderson.
See, it wasn't Harry and the Hendersons.
What was Greg Brady's character's name?
Brady. Greg Brady.
No, his character in this movie.
Oh, Simon something.
Simon Quinn.
Like
Quinn
Medicine Woman.
Medicine Woman?
Who is his cousin? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Her show came on the same time as.
Anyway,
did you finish your story? Did I interrupt at all?
I don't know. I had nothing.
That's all. A list of why or not. It's just a simple list, so it's not a big story.
I'll work on a better list next time. I need to hear the first episode again so I could remember the format. I this movie hurt.
Yeah, it hurt us.
It made me dumber.
It did.
No speak good do I anymore. Do we get any mail this week, Tim?
Let me open the mailbag. Open and refreshing it. You laugh at me. You got to refresh your windows. No mail.
Well, I just laugh because it's refreshing seems to indicate to me that at the beginning of recording you'd already checked, and it just seems unlikely to me that the 1 hour a week when we're recording is when they decide to write. That's just all I'm ever saying.
Nobody wrote this week.
But boo.
Okay. Our show didn't have a theme right away, but organically it happened again.
Yes.
You hurt me with this
Seddy
movie.
Bonaduce treat.
Have you ever heard of a movie called The Legend of McCullough's Mountain?
No. How do we McCullough, like the last name?
It's MC CULLOUGH. Isn't that McCullough?
McCullough. Yeah.
You type it into YouTube. I'll send you a link because this movie has been known by several names.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Because in the 70s, they re-edited it with some extra Bigfoot because that was a fad. So let's make the monster Bigfoot. It wasn't originally Bigfoot.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Did you find it?
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
It's from the 70s. It looks like 3 movies stitched together.
I'll tell you what, Tim. There's no Wikipedia for it.
Nope. It's only an hour, 16 minutes.
A small-town newspaperman begins to suspect that a wave of murders committed in the area may not be the work of a serial killer, but a monster. Don Davison is in it. Another Davison. Wait, I wonder if he's related to Bruce Davison.
I'll try to find stuff about this movie, but yeah.
It's only
I
on,
never heard
it's
of
only
it.
on YouTube?
It's only on YouTube. I'll send you the link, but you found it, I think.
All right.
It should be only an hour, 16 minutes.
I'm on the IMDb. What?
Oh.
Hour 16. I think it's 60. I'm like, that would just say 2 hours.
I think you looked at the seconds one day. I remember.
Oh, this movie looks good, Tim.
I will send you the link.
There are some fucking photos. There is a doofus-looking guy.
Yeah, he looks like Laurel without Hardy.
I was thinking he looks like a guy that would have been like dressed up as a bee on a Mexican TV show.
Oh no.
He looks like a silly clown.
Why not do another Bigfoot that's not even meant to be a Bigfoot movie? We're done, right?
We're done.
Unless you want to talk more about Star Trek. Corbomite maneuver.
Never do. Nobody ever wants to.
So that last one would have been Kirk and the Corbomites, maybe. I don't know.
Kurt, yep.
Ooh. All right. Go your own way.
I forgot you're doing that. It throws me for. It's like I think you're singing Stevie Nicks songs to me every time.
Yeah. You want to say goodbye? Is that it?
Nah, I don't want to say goodbye to people.
Goodbye. So long.
Good journey.
This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.
Man, we were going to go do something fun when, that story. Yeah. Anyway.
What